Hi, Mike.
Good morning, Dan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It seems like everybody's in on Carson Wentz. That was pretty quick.
It's really an interesting conversation because I usually don't like jumping on and off bandwagons too quickly. And the first tape I've watched of him was about 6 or 8 weeks ago versus Northern Iowa, and I got this little tingle like, uh-oh, I don't even know who this kid is, but this could be legit. And I hope this is not his only good tape. And then I watched 4 more tapes. So I did 5 of his games, and after 5 games, I came away thinking, if this kid didn't go to North Dakota State, if he went to an SEC school or a Power 5 conference school, we'd be talking about him as a top 10 pick. So why shouldn't we be talking about him that way?
Okay, if I swapped Connor Cook and Carson Wentz, Connor Cook played at North Dakota State, and Carson Wentz played at Michigan State. You think just because he played at that level in the Big Ten that we would look at him differently, that we kind of look at him at the competition level he played in 1AA, and that, I guess in people's eyes, would lower him a little bit in the draft?
Absolutely. It eliminates the level of competition question that all lower-level football players face, and that's one of the reasons he came here this week. And that's what happens with all these kids that come from non-Power 5 conference schools. They come here trying to take that one negative away from them, and I think the kid did a nice job this week.
How much tape do you have to really look at before you can make an honest opinion that you'll stick with? Is there a formula?
I don't think there's a formula. I think everybody's different, and the quarterback thing is different. Like if I look at a defensive tackle and I look at 3 or 4 tapes, and I think I've got a really good feel for that kid. I don't need to see him I want to see him in person, but I don't necessarily need to see him play in person. The quarterback thing is different. And for instance, with Wentz, I did 5 tapes before I got here, and I felt like he had a big arm, really big arm. And I got here, and I don't think he's got as big an arm as I thought. His arm is really good, but it's not a Joe Flacco cannon. And that's fine. But my point is you kind of have to see quarterbacks in person throw the ball. So I feel a lot better about seeing that kid this week on top of the film work. And then you go to the combine. And by the way, at 6'5.5", 233, he's as good an athlete as probably Cam Newton or Andrew Luck. I mean, they run this kid in planned quarterback runs. He's really a good athlete.
Is Cam Newton better than what we thought he was going to be coming out of Auburn?
Well, I have to put my hand up. I was off on him, and my take on him was I thought he was probably the most exciting talent in the draft, but I wouldn't trust him off the field, and I was wrong. He had some stuff off the field, and when you're wrong, you're wrong. And in hindsight, I think he's the most polarizing athlete in the NFL today. I'm amazed at what they've done in Carolina, both from what Cam Newton's been able to do with that offense and what they've done with that entire franchise, because a couple of years ago, people wanted to fire Ron Rivera. It's really a classic example of a great quarterback and a stifling defense. Phenomenal.
But you bring up an interesting point with Cam. So we knew sort of what was going on off the field, but also he talks about his personality. He says, I'm no different than I was when I first got into the league, but I didn't know if that personality on the field was a red flag, Mike.
I don't think it was on the field, and here's where I think I missed. Where I missed was that everywhere that frickin' kid went, they won national championships. Okay? At Blinn Junior College, they won the national championship. Then he goes to Auburn, and they're down 24-0 at halftime against Alabama, and he somehow rallies them to a win and a national championship. And Dan, I went to the pro days for Auburn and Alabama on back-to-back days that spring. At Auburn, there were 2 draft picks off that team that year, Cam and some 7th-round tackle was the other kid. I went to Bama the next day. There were, it was littered with draft picks. There was so much more talent in Bama than Auburn. It was unbelievable. yet Cam Newton won the national championship. And I let that get overwhelmed by my concern. Oh, will he be a hard worker? Will he be? You know what? The kid has gone to the next level and done it again. And I'm disappointed in myself, and I'm really overwhelmed by how good a football player I think Cam Newton is at this point.
He's Mike Mayock of the NFL Network. NFL Network will bring you the Senior Bowl Saturday at 2:30 Eastern, where you'll be able to see Carson Wentz. But it's hard to measure those intangibles. Is a winner? What is a winner? You know, Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf. When I found out more about Ryan Leaf, I was shocked he went as high as he did, because I don't think Ryan wanted to be great. I think he wanted what went along with being great. Whereas I think Peyton Manning wanted to be great and prove that he could be better than his dad. The difference were unbelievable, but the draft didn't prove that way.
I think it's the hardest thing, Dan, about this whole process. And people that think it's a science are wrong. And there's a lot of matrix and analytics, and I get them and I respect that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to human beings. And I thought the Manning versus what's his face
Leaf.
was easy. Yeah, Manning Leaf for me was kind of easy. But I think if you look at the first round, we missed on 50% of the quarterbacks. And I think the biggest reason we miss on them is some of them really care and want to be the best quarterback in the NFL. And some of them, like you said, Dan, just kind of want what goes along with being a quarterback, and the fame, the money, the cars, the women, whatever. And you better figure that out before you draft one of these kids.
All right, before I let you go, we've put the over-under at 2.5 quarterbacks in the first round. You want to go over or under?
Only 2 quarterback needs in the top 12 spots in the draft, but I think there'll be at least 3.
Oh, so you'll go over.
So I'd go over.
Okay.
I think Wentz is going to go. I think Goff is going to go. And I'm guessing Lynch is going to go.
Paulie wants to know if you can somehow not compare Joey Bosa to J.J. Watt on draft night. Is it possible?
Are you looking for a black-white thing as opposed to a white-white thing? Where are we going here?
It just feels like there's going to be a high motor Big Ten. There's just got to be a comparison with J.J. Watt. So we're trying to see if the first person that is mentioned when Joey Bosa's name is mentioned, is it going to be J.J. Watt or Jared Allen?
Well, I'm gonna stay away from that and Chris Long.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm staying away from all those white-on-white comparisons, because it's amazing how much criticism you get from people who, when you say high motor, they want to kill you for that.
Is he a Ryan Kerrigan type?
No. He's Greg Hardy without the issues. How about that?
Nice. Hey, have fun this weekend, Mike. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Dan. Thank you.
Mike Mayock of the NFL Network.